It was a different kind of Passover meal, to say the least. I remember right when I sat down, Philip leaned over to me and whispers, "Hey Thomas, I feel like something special is going to happen tonight." I looked at him and said, "I doubt it." I was wrong. Jesus got up from the table. He walked over, grabbed a basin of water and a towel. I remember at the time thinking to myself, what's Jesus doing with water? I doubt he's going to wash somebody's feet. I was wrong. He knelt down and began to wash our feet. We didn't say anything. I didn't move. None of us did. I remember at the time thinking, this is so strange and yet so wonderful. I doubt anyone's going to say anything right now. I was wrong. You know who broke the silence? Peter.
"No way are you going to wash our feet?" That's what I told him. He could wash other people's feet, but he wasn't going to wash mine. So I looked at him and I said, "Jesus, you're not going to wash my feet. I mean, you're the king." In the midst of washing our feet, he teaches us servanthood.
Then Jesus took some bread and some wine. He blessed it and he served it to us. He said it was a new covenant with his blood. And he said, "Tonight you will all lose faith in me." I remember thinking right then, lose faith in you? Never. But I didn't say anything. I just sat there. And then Peter spoke up again.
I couldn't just sit there. I had to say something. So I looked at him and I said, "Jesus, I love you. You can count on me. Everybody else may fall away, but I will not. You can count on me." He looked at me and he smiled and said, "Peter, you'll deny me 3 times before tomorrow morning." Next thing I knew, we were wrapping things up and heading to the garden to pray.
Once we got to the garden, it just got crazy. Jesus asked Peter, James, and myself to go a little further into the garden with him and pray. And we did. Well, we tried. We kept falling asleep. Jesus kept waking us up. I mean, all we had to do was stay awake for a little while. Why couldn't I just stay awake for a little while? It's all a blur. And to think this whole mess started because of Judas. Did he really think what he was doing was right?
There he is. That's the one you want, the one praying by himself. Now, the others, they're gonna try to come up and create some scene, but the one that I kiss on the cheek, that's the one you want. Now 30 pieces of silver, right? 30 pieces, that's what we agreed upon? Now forget about the rest. The one that I kiss on the cheek, that's the one you want.
A kiss? Judas betrays Jesus with the kiss of a friend? Then it got crazy. Peter grabs a sword and cuts off this guy's ear. And Jesus? He just reached down and heals the soldier that is there to arrest him. And then they took him. I would love to tell you that we fought for him, but we didn't. Everyone ran. I ran. I am so ashamed.
What have I done? What have I done? Was I so stupid to think I've killed him? I've killed him.
I was one of the men that crucified Jesus. That's what the crowd wanted, and that's what they got. Personally, I don't think that man did anything to deserve that. But I was just a soldier doing my job. When the governor gave his sentence, that's when I went to work. I felt like I was administering justice every time I nailed someone to a tree. But that man, Jesus, that man didn't deserve that.
It makes no sense. There I was, rotting in a jail cell for stealing, murdering, you name it, I had done it. I knew the next time I stepped foot outside the jail cell, that was it. So the guards came and got me, and they put me next to this guy who was beaten to a pulp. And Governor Pilate started asking the crowd, which one of these men do you want to let go? I mean, it was obvious. They were going to say, let Jesus go. Let him go. Right? And then the crowd, they started shouting, Barabbas. I mean, they were saying my name. They were saying my name over and over and over again. The guards shoved me into the crowd and let me go. They took Jesus off to Golgotha. 1 minute I'm a man marked for death, and the next I'm free? It made no sense.
I'll never forget the way he looked. He had been beaten, spit upon, whipped. He was unrecognizable. If I were the one on that cross, I would have hated those men. I would have never forgave them. And I wouldn't have blamed Jesus, but he didn't. He said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And he surely was the Son of God.
No matter where we were and no matter what was going on around us, Jesus was always teaching us. Yes, Jesus taught us that fateful night. It wasn't only that fateful night, though. It was what he taught us on the way to the cross that still sticks with us today.
On the way to the cross, Jesus stopped and took so many personal detours. He showed us the way to truth and life. Jesus gathered 12 students to teach and disciple. When others thought these people were wrong for the job, Jesus proved those people wrong. He called each of them by name, made it personal, and said, "Follow me."
On the way to the cross, Jesus was going to heal a sick child when a woman, who needed healing of her own, touched his robe. Although he was pressed for time, Jesus stopped and asked, "Who touched me?"
Out steps a shy, apologetic woman explaining that she had done and hoped she was not in trouble. She was in a total state of shock when the Son of God made it personal and said, "Woman, because of your faith, you are healed."
On the way to the cross, Jesus went out of his way to comfort the mourning family and friends of Lazarus. Seeing their pain, Jesus wept too. The compassion he showed was astounding. But it didn't stop there. He called for him by name and valued Lazarus' life just as much as his own.
You cannot get any more personal than that. On the way to the cross, Jesus experienced opposition from many religious leaders. One leader tried to stump him by asking, "What is the greatest of all of the commandments?" Jesus had a simple response, but it gave us the greatest responsibility we have as his followers.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
On the way to the cross, Jesus was cornered in the garden by one of his students. For just 30 silver coins, Judas betrayed the Son of God with a kiss on the cheek. Yet Jesus called him friend.
Jesus made it personal, showing forgiveness instead of judgment. The guards gathered, and the long night began. On the way to the cross, Jesus was arrested, put on trial illegally, whipped, beaten, spit upon. He listened as the world threw insults at his majestic claim. The angry mob made it very personal.
On the way to the cross, Jesus would speak to the mourners personally, even though he was the one beaten and bruised, making the long trek to Golgotha.
On the cross, Jesus' hands and feet were nailed, yet he personally prayed for those who were hurting him. "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing."
On the cross, Jesus would hang and suffer for 6 hours until he finally died. The perfect person, the perfect sacrifice. The cross seemed like a personal victory to those who opposed Jesus.
The cross seemed like a personal tragedy to those who loved Jesus. For Jesus' disciples, the events that led to the cross and what we know as Good Friday, we're filled with feelings of doubt, pain, betrayal, love, and faith.
Faith. That is what will pull us through. Faith. That love will prevail. Faith. That serving others is the answer to our mission. Faith. That kindness and compassion wins. Faith. That Jesus will return.